You are now watching The Meech.
With the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U eShop shutting down, there's been a lot of concern about the preservation of these games. Nintendo is not offering any alternatives to get them. This is likely because they don't want players to find out that their older games were often better. Going from Mario Golf World Tour to Super Rush would have you thinking, what? In all seriousness, that's probably not the case. But regardless, it is worrisome that these games are seemingly going to become lost media. So you think. On a nice Sunday trip to the mall, I surprisingly came across a sea green Nintendo 2DS. My 3DS of choice is the standard new 3DS, but I couldn't pass this beauty up. I got it at a GameStop out of all places, and although prices for 3DS systems have been high, you should still be able to get one for a good price like I did. Not only did I get this 2DS because it's an absolute beauty, but because I thought it would be a great way to showcase the world of 3DS homebrew. I've noticed many videos focus on the new 3DS models. I've modded a new 3DS as well, but considering the 2DS is the entry-level 3DS, anything you see here will apply to any other 3DS. And with that being said, it's time to showcase the powerhouse that is a modded 2DS. I modded this 2DS less than 24 hours after I got it, because I don't mess around. I've gotten quite a few questions asking how I did it, and the answer is simple. I'd highly recommend following the guide on 3ds.hacks.guide over video tutorials. It explains everything step by step, and although there are many steps to follow, it's super easy to do. But if you prefer video tutorials, my friend Anton Retro has excellent tutorials that are straight to the point. That is what I used when I modded my Japanese new 3DS, because I can't speak or read Japanese. The only things you'll need are a computer and an SD card to modify your 2DS or 3DS. I'd recommend getting an SD card over 128GB, considering how many games you can get with Homebrew. You'll just need to format it to FAT32. The entire process took me about 40 minutes to an hour, but as I said before, it's not hard to do. Just take your time and follow everything step by step, and you're good to go. Now with everything set up, what things can you do with a modded 2DS? I'm a physical game guy. I like the convenience of digital games, but I'm not willing to sacrifice something that's tangible. But here, it turns out I don't have to. What you can do is dump your 3DS games, so if you want to play them digitally as well, you can definitely do that. If you wanted to, you could do this with all your 3DS games. It takes a few minutes to dump a game, but it's definitely worth doing considering the convenience. What I'm talking about now are actual video game backups, because now we're on to the quote-unquote backups that you hear about in homebrew and modding videos. Remember those eShop games that were seemingly going to be lost media? Well, they're here to stay. By using an eShop alternative or installing the CIA, you'll be able to download and play whatever games you want. Remember, Nintendo is offering no alternative, so there's no shame in doing this. Yet again, you're probably doing this to play Dr. Luigi, so you're a Chad anyway. And yes, this also applies to games outside the eShop exclusives. It couldn't be any easier to do. If you're into modding, you probably love a little customization as well. The 3DS has themes, and it's no exception here. But what's even better is that you can use custom themes. The possibilities are nearly endless. I've made some really cool looking themes. This is the official Demeech theme. Here we have a Super Mario All-Stars, better known as the official Mario fan game theme. And here is the legitimate, unofficial, genuine fake Mario game theme. These themes look really cool, but because they are custom, you can use a theme based on whatever 3 AM idea this is. To make them, you'll need a computer and Usagi Custom Theme Maker, but you can get custom themes from the Theme Plaza or even scanning QR codes. I've provided a few of them here, so feel free to check them out. Most think that Super Nintendo games can't run on a standard 3DS. This is because they were exclusive to the new 3DS Virtual Console, but as it turns out, that was just a marketing tactic, because you can play Super Nintendo games and they run flawlessly. They look really nice as well. Just to see what the limits were, I wanted to see if a more power-intensive game would have issues. The Donkey Kong Country games were technical marvels at the time, and I expected these would be the games that would lag, but nope, they run perfectly. The only ones that didn't are any of the games that use a super effects chip such as Yoshi's Island, but most games will run very well. You can also play NES and Sega Genesis games. Most people would get a 2DS to play games like Mario Kart 7 or Pokemon Y, but here I am playing Mario 3 around the world. Genesis games run very well, but sometimes the sound quality isn't consistent, but it sounds fine for the most part, and this 3 in Knuckles has a better soundtrack than the one in Origins. These are only a fraction of the emulators that you can use, but these stood out because of how high quality they are. Though if only I could play Yoshi's Island... Wait a minute. Considering just how expensive Nintendo Switch hardware is, it's hard to believe Nintendo essentially apologized for charging too much for the 3DS. The 3DS launched for $250, but it was then dropped to $170 in less than a year. But to reimburse those who got it originally, they got 10 NES games, and more importantly, 10 Game Boy Advance games. These GBA games were only available as part of the Ambassador program, and were never on the eShop. Look, Nintendo, I would have sold my soul for a 3DS at launch, but I was 11 years old. Thankfully, you can play them here without the Ambassador program. Getting them is the same as getting the eShop games. They are running on hardware directly and aren't using emulation. Think of when you play a Wii game on the Wii U, a GameCube game on the Wii, or a Game Boy Advance game on the DS. In fact, the hardware is going to be similar to that of a DS, it just doesn't have the cartridge slot, meaning that the performance of the Game Boy Advance games is going to be perfect. I really wish Nintendo embraced Game Boy Advance games on the 3DS, but it is what it is. Not only can you play those games, but any virtual console games. Bicycles, Lemonade, Game Boy Color, Sega Game Gear. You now essentially have the ultimate handheld console. Have you guys played the Game Gear Sonic games? They're really underrated and a ton of fun to play. Not to mention they have excellent soundtracks as well. This also will apply to DSiWare too. So you can play all the DSiWare games that you want to, and I'm currently enjoying the heck out of Zuma. This is another game I have fond memories playing, and it's really cool that it's on the DS as well. This feature may not be as earth-shattering, but it is extremely useful. Save data is extremely important, especially in games such as Pokemon, especially if you have mythical Pokemon. What you can do is create backups of your save data, which is great to have just in case something happens to the cartridge. You can also restore the saves from your cartridges to your digital backups, making everything all the more convenient. And now, we've saved the best for last. Mario Kart 7 would have been my favorite Mario Kart game if it had a versus mode in Waluigi. And as always, fans do what Nintendo don't. Custom Track Grand Prix 7 not only addresses these issues, but makes Mario Kart 7 even better. There are dozens of custom tracks and characters, and even missions. You not only now have the ultimate handheld game system, but also the ultimate Mario Kart. I'll be making a full-on retrospective covering Custom Track Grand Prix 7, so be on the lookout for that. But regardless, this is awesome. So there you have it. Here are the fundamentals of things you can do with 3DS Homebrew. I'd highly recommend modding your 3DS, as it really showcases what the 3DS is capable of. We've moved on from one of life's biggest questions being, can you play Kablooey on the 3DS, to would you play Kablooey on the 3DS? These are only a fraction of things you can do with Homebrew, and I'll definitely make more videos covering it. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and keep calm and dada on.